Whether you're buying or selling your home, the brokers of Me Realty will work with you to get the deal done. As one of Central Illinois' top producing offices for decades, Me Realty has the experience to guide you through the process. You want results? Call the brokers of Me Realty at 217-735-5424, stop by the office at 602 Keokuk Street in Lincoln, or check out local listings online at merealty.com.
Culver's is a family restaurant. To me, that means being the place that puts a smile on everyone's face. We're famous for our cooked-to-order butter burgers and frozen custard made daily inside our restaurants. But we've always believed more menu options mean more ways to brighten your day. We source the finest chicken to bring you our tenders and chicken sandwiches. And our cheese curds. They're a Wisconsin tradition we're proud to share with you. So take the next meal shift off and let us take care of you. Welcome to Delicious.
Culver's, home of the Butterburger, 2530 Woodlawn Road in Lincoln. Full Gospel Evangelistic Center makes an impact locally and beyond through a wide range of events, ministries, and outreaches. Pastors Steve and Debbie Owens invite you to worship Sunday mornings at 10:30 and attend Wednesday night Bible studies at 6:30. Connect with FGEC online, follow them on Facebook, download their app, and visit their new website at myfgec.org with live YouTube video streams as well as recordings of services and special events. Full Gospel Evangelistic Center, 304 North McLean Street in Lincoln.
Brian Clark State Farm offers a range of insurance products to fit your unique needs and give you a peace of mind. Our dedicated team helps you find the perfect policy to safeguard your biggest investments. Brian Clark State Farm can steer you in the right direction on auto insurance, and we've got your home covered from natural disasters to unexpected accidents. Contact me, State Farm agent Brian Clark, at 217-732-6211 or visit sfinsurelincoln.com. Go Railers!
The following is a presentation of WLCN 96.3 FM and WLCNonline.com. This live video stream is made possible in part by WLCN's live stream technology sponsor, Me Realty, located at 602 Keokuk Street in Lincoln, and online at merealty.com.
Good morning, sports fans. Welcome to the Cheap Seats on WLCN 96.3 FM. Download the Mixler app, listen to us on the go, or watch our live stream on YouTube. We are broadcasting live today from Copper and Oak on this bitter Saturday morning, and joining us this morning,
it's pretty nice right now,
is Coach Neil Alexander sitting in with us today. Scott Kirby, Joe Ryan, Jim Ash, Lloyd Kirby. Coach, it's been a while since you've been on the Cheap Seats. Quite a bit's happened since then. Just got back from the Collinsville tournament down there in Collinsville, the 40th annual Prairie Farms Collinsville Holiday Classic tournament, and came out of there 2-2. But before we get to that, I mean, how are we health-wise right now? I know we've talked about it. You haven't had a full squad since maybe game one of the Thanksgiving tournament, and how's it looking right now?
Your guess is as good as mine. I don't really know. We've still got some guys that are banged up and so forth. I think Carson Komnick, he's been cleared, so you might see him a little bit tonight. So we're excited about that. But Drew Hayes has got a sprained ankle, so I don't know how much he's going to miss some more time. And then Frank Sanders, his knee's still bothering him, and it'll get better, and then he'll play a day, and then it's just back. So he's day by day, but more so probably week by week. So we're still banged up pretty good.
And we saw that in Collinsville. We got Frank back in Collinsville the first game, and boy, he had a heck of a night. I think 18 points. Does that sound right? Something like that.
18-9.
18-9, player of the game. So it was good to have him back because obviously we needed him with the way Hayes' ankles going, and then with Komnick being out, you had to have one of those senior leaders come up and help out, and that's exactly what he did.
Well, he played the first game. He struggled through preseason. Then he played the first game, and then he was out for a month.
Yep.
Then he played a game, and then it's back to him again. So he really needs to see some further medical things and
what is the injury? Do we know?
We don't know. That's the issue. Whether it's ligaments, whether it's the ACL, we don't really know. All we know is he can't walk.
Hard to play basketball in the paint.
Yeah, it really is. But when he's healthy, you saw what he could do.
Oh, yeah.
It'd be nice to have him. So, but we're also concerned about his well-being for his future and things. So, hopefully we can figure something out here.
Well, with some of your leading scorers out, it gives the opportunity for those younger kids to step up, and I really thought they stepped up. Tungate, the junior, really had a solid tournament down in Collinsville, and I think really boosted his confidence in what he can do. The pull-up jumper is his shot, and he was on key the tournament with that. So as far as he goes, I mean, that had to be a pretty good confidence booster for him.
Yeah, he played exceptionally well, and like you said, with these injuries, it's allowed other people to step in, and he's definitely shown that he belongs out there. So he had a really, really good tournament, and he takes things hard on himself, and he missed the last second shot there, but again, that the game doesn't come down to one shot. There's too many other things in a game that could determine the outcome, and but players do that. They take it hard that they missed the last second shot and take the blame for it, and that's not the case.
Horn had a solid tournament. His playing time has really increased over the past several weeks, and I thought he's not really going to show on the scoreboard, but he does a lot of the other things as far as rebounding and just the aggressiveness that he puts out on the court.
Yeah, he does a lot of things, like you said, and there's games where he's had a couple really good scoring games, and the floor games, a lot of people don't realize how good a kid plays. If they don't score points, they don't think they played well, and that's not the case. So the floor game's important. How many assists you have, how many steals you have, how many turnovers you have, all those things go into how we consider how the kid played.
Well, let's get back to the Collinsville tournament, Coach. Opened up the tournament against a Mundelein team, a pretty good team, and the Railers, able to win that one. I know we always go into Collinsville saying that first game is very key to win because you want to stay in the main gym. That auxiliary gym is no fun at all. Railers got it done night one, and they played exceptionally well. That was the Frank Sanders game, and they were able to stay in the main gym, which makes us all happy.
Yeah, but that was a hard game. I think we said they were a 4A school, but I believe they might be a 3A. So, they were very physical. They play in the suburbs, and they play mostly 4A schools, which makes them have to compete, as a physical team. So it was a very physical game, and that's one that Frank really survives in.
Yeah. We'll move on to Saturday. 2 games on Saturday. Coach played at 2:30 against a really good Belleville East team. Didn't really get a whole lot out of that game. The Railers just seemed to step slow all night, but give credit to Belleville East. That was a good basketball team.
They were good. They were a team that gives us fits. They were very physical on the ball, very quick, again, very strong. They had length. They were 6'6", 6'7", and just very long. And, we had trouble with everything from the get-go. That game was pretty much the first 10 minutes, well, really the first 5 minutes, they dictated the game.
Then we follow up with the nightcap, the late game at 9 o'clock against the home squad, Collinsville. And going into that game, just how you guys played Saturday afternoon, you got to go in there thinking, Collinsville's a decent team. And, in the back of your mind, you're thinking, well, this could be another ugly night for the Railers. But, boy, they came out Saturday night and took it to Collinsville.
Yeah, we played with a little pride. I think our pride got hurt in the afternoon game, but the kids bounced back and had it was a fun game. It was really a good game for us, and to beat Collinsville on their home court is saying a lot, because you're usually not beating just 5 kids.
Yeah, and they had some big kids out there. What was he, 6'11"? 6'11".
Yeah.
So you, without having 100% Frank and Drew Hayes out there.
Well, Drew played that game, and he hasn't played a lot since. So, and he probably won't play tonight either. So, we got through that game, but now we just got to try to get the ankle healed up and get him back on the court 100%.
This year we'll probably have the 9 a.m. game to start the tournament, right? Since you beat Collinsville,
why do we still go to Collinsville? A couple reasons. Is our fans like going down there. It's a good area to do things, and we also they've always taken care of us. And
until you beat them this year.
I don't know if we talked about this, but this goes back a long way. Several years ago, before I got here, probably in the 80s. Collinsville and Lincoln used to have a Thanksgiving tournament in it. One year it was at Collinsville, next year at Lincoln, and it rotated back and forth. Well, when Collinsville decided to start the Christmas tournament, they said, here, you can have the Thanksgiving tournament. So that's kind of how things have worked out. And then we got into a little bitter because Collinsville was supposed to come to our Thanksgiving tournament, and we would go to theirs. Well, they eventually dropped out, which made our administration mad. So we dropped out of Collinsville for a couple years, but then we've ended up back there, and they've treated us very, very well down there.
Yeah, it's a great tournament. A lot of good teams down there.
It's teams we don't see.
Yeah.
As long as we stay away from, the Decatur schools, and they put those two in the top, and they ended up playing each other and put us in the bottom. So we did.
It's a fun tournament.
Yeah, it's a great place to play. It's a nice gym, like you said, as long as we stay in the main gym.
I had to go back there and watch a little bit game in the auxiliary gym, and just it's horrible. There's just no room. But if you walk down through that hallway, they've got posters up throughout the hallway of every year of the tournament. So it's kind of neat going through there and just kind of seeing the history. And obviously Lincoln's on a lot of those posters, and it's pretty neat.
The brackets?
No, like articles, news articles.
They got articles and brackets there, and I don't know if people know this or not, but Lincoln has won the tournament more than anyone. We've won up 6 championships, and I think Collinsville might have tied us last year. They might have 6 as well, but we're right up there
fun.
with So
and Joe, we miss you down there hitting that hospitality room. I know Lloyd replayed our Ryan Feld with you shoving hot wings in your mouth, and
they called me and want to know why I wasn't there from the hospitality room, but DoorDash was too expensive. I said forget it. So I was out.
So, well, Coach, you've had a week of rest, a little home cooking tonight, which has got to feel pretty good. You got Rockford East coming to town. What can you tell us about Rockford? I'm sure they're athletic.
They're very athletic. They're not overly big, but they're very athletic, and they're going to run up and down the floor. And those are the teams we like to play, because if we can get them under control, we got a good chance. But we've got to do a good job defensively and transition defense to stop them from getting some easy scores and things. And we got to be able to execute. I think we'll be able to backdoor them because they overplay. They want to deny us and pressure us. And I'm sure they saw us play Belleville East, so they've probably got that in the back of their mind.
So, I mean, coming off of 4 games with shot clock, is there any adjustments as a coaching staff that you have to make for the kids, or you just go out and do your thing?
Well, no. I mean, we don't even make any adjustments playing the shot clock. I don't think, we had a couple times where, we got forced to take a bad shot, but for the most part, we forced them into a couple bad shots. So I think it outweighs each other, and it's really not a factor. It just makes people play. I think I saw on X that there was one team that held the ball for 5 minutes, just stood out at half court in a high school game, and that's no fun to watch.
But you do like the shot clock.
I like the shot clock. It makes people play. You can't stand back there and hold the ball. You got to attack, and it helps our defense out.
It helps you with the full court pressure.
Yep.
Yeah.
I went to a game one time where they long time ago where all 4 guys went over and stood next to the out of bounds line, all next to each other, and they were at the, I don't know what you call that, they're at the point where you brought it up court and back, and
you had the 28-foot marker.
Yeah, and they just were passing the ball to each other facing out of bounds, and the other team, you're going to foul if you reach in to get it. It's a foul, and that's how they were holding the ball. I thought it was kind of interesting. You should try it sometime.
No, let's not.
Joe Ryan played.
The Joe Ryan.
I thought it was like Benton playing West Frankfort or something, and they lined up on the side like that.
No, only in Southern Illinois.
Southern Illinois basketball right there.
Right. Well, Coach, it's got to feel good to be back at home playing at Roy S. Anderson Gymnasium tonight, and hopefully the crowd come out and support you before the weather hits and get a good game of basketball in tonight.
We hope that weather holds off for Rockford to get here and to get home.
Yeah.
And should we give? Are we just going to give your cell out? Are you going around and doing driveways? Are we supposed to give that out?
No.
Oh.
Now that is.
If he wants his done, he's got to come get it.
Well, that's not the way it works. It's an early tip tonight, 6 o'clock varsity.
Well, it's a full day. Our girls play at 11:30. The JV team plays 11:30, and the varsity at 1 against Morton, and then our freshmen we're playing all 3 levels against Rockford East. So we start at 3 o'clock with the freshman game, 4:30 JV, and 6 o'clock varsity.
That's fun.
It's a long day for you.
Yeah, it'll be a fun day.
Yeah. All right, Coach. Well, good luck tonight as the Rockford East comes to town, and we'll talk to you next week.
Okay, thank you.
All right, let's take a commercial break. We come back, we'll have more here on the Cheap Seats on WLCN 96.3.
This is Corporal Brian Clements with the Lincoln Police Department. This week, Lincoln Logan County Crime Stoppers is seeking information in reference to copper gutters that have been stolen off churches in the last couple weeks. On December 6th at 1:54 p.m., 2 subjects stole a copper downspout off the Zion Lutheran Church at 205 Pulaski Street. They were both on bicycles, and one was wearing a Chicago Bears jacket, the other was wearing a tan coat and blue jeans. If you have any information on this crime, please contact Lincoln Logan County Crime Stoppers anonymously at 217-732-3000 or the Lincoln Police Department at 217-732-2151. Tips leading to an arrest could receive a cash reward up to $1,000. Crime Stoppers only wants your information, not your name.
The Lincoln Logan County Crime Stoppers Crime of the Week is brought to you by Me Realty, supporting a thriving community safe for families through support of the Crime Stoppers program. Me Realty, 602 Keokuk Street in Lincoln, and online at merealty.com. Full Gospel Evangelistic Center makes an impact locally and beyond through a wide range of events, ministries, and outreaches. Pastors Steve and Debbie Owens invite you to worship Sunday mornings at 10:30 and attend Wednesday night Bible studies at 6:30. Connect with FGEC online, follow them on Facebook, download their app, and visit their new website at myfgec.org with live YouTube video streams as well as recordings of services and special events. Full Gospel Evangelistic Center, 304 North McLean Street in Lincoln.
Are you sick and tired of the telephone calls, text messages, and ads in the mail for Medicare Open Enrollment? Medicare Open Enrollment begins October 15th and ends December 7th. Changes made during this time will go into effect January 1, 2025. Feel free to call me, local Medicare agent Darrett Entwistle, and set an appointment to go over 2025 changes and plans. My office is in downtown Lincoln, or I can meet with you at your home if you like. Again, call me, Darrett Entwistle, your local Medicare agent and your friend in health insurance, 217-651-8046.
Culver's is a family restaurant. To me, that means being the place that puts a smile on everyone's face. We're famous for our cooked-to-order butter burgers and frozen custard made daily inside our restaurants. But we've always believed more menu options mean more ways to brighten your day. We source the finest chicken to bring you our tenders and chicken sandwiches. And our cheese curds. They're a Wisconsin tradition we're proud to share with you. So take the next meal shift off and let us take care of you. Welcome to Delicious.
Culver's, home of the Butterburger, 2530 Woodlawn Road in Lincoln. Whether you're buying or selling your home, the brokers of Me Realty will work with you to get the deal done. As one of Central Illinois' top producing offices for decades, Me Realty has the experience to guide you through the process. You want results? Call the brokers of Me Realty at 217-735-5424, stop by the office at 602 Keokuk Street in Lincoln, or check out local listings online at merealty.com.
You're listening to Cheap Seats on WLCN.
.3 FM, broadcasting live from Copper and Oak, and joining us now is Atlanta native, nationally known, well-known sports writer.
It's a big deal.
An illustrious career in the sports writing business, Dave Kindred. Good morning.
Good to be here, man. Thank you.
Thanks for coming in today. And I don't even know really to start, Dave. I guess we'll start from the beginning. You grew up in Atlanta, Illinois. You played basketball, baseball, a pretty good athlete from what I hear, some regional championships and some other things back in high school. One regional championship. Well, that's all it takes.
Hate to bring that up here, although it was a long time ago, prehistoric even.
Yeah. Well, back in the day, any regional championship or, that's
Lincoln beat Lincoln.
Lincoln had won, I think, 12 straight regional championships, and we beat them in 1959. That's 65 years ago.
Wow.
Holy cow. Yeah, I remember it well. Actually, I do.
But do you still have the stuff? Do they still have the little museum over there that's got some of that stuff in it downtown? Wasn't there stuff about that in that?
Well, Atlanta has a museum downtown, and there's a lot of stuff there.
In
fact, there's like a 10 seconds of film of the hero of that game making 4 straight free throws in the last 35 seconds. You may wonder why I remember that so well.
Yes.
Yes. It was, but the score, the amazing thing was that was 65 years ago, and the score was 84-80.
Wow.
Wow.
They changed the nets at halftime?
There wasn't much defense being played, I don't think.
That's a lot of scoring in a high school game.
32 minutes without a three-point line.
Yeah. So, I mean, growing up in Atlanta, you said your mom bought you a typewriter when you were 15 years old, and that's kind of where it all started.
Well, I wanted to, you know, I listened to games on the radio all the time and would write them up just by hand. And I was a school sports editor of the high school newspaper, and I liked doing it. I liked reading and writing. And she saw at an auction one day, she bought me this typewriter, $5. I still got it. It's a great Royal portable typewriter.
So yeah, they don't even use those anymore these days.
No.
Probably can't find the ink for it.
That's one thing that I've done. I've always kept up with whatever the technology was. I didn't want to stay. I wanted to be ahead of it. So I've done that forever. You know, I played baseball here in Lincoln every summer. I stayed with my grandmother here in Lincoln, played Pony League baseball forever. So Lincoln is like my second hometown. I love coming here. I hate going down Sangamon Street right now and seeing half of the block gone.
Yeah.
Because I spent every summer, Four Hands West Side Tavern.
Yeah, we were talking about that before you got here, trying to figure out what it was back in the day.
Well, on the end was like a hardware store, and then there was, on the other side of the tavern was Pluth's Tin Shop.
Oh, yes.
And all of that stuff is gone now. Half of that block is gone.
I remember the tin shop, but we couldn't remember the name of the tavern. That would have been like
Four Hands West Side Tavern.
Four Hands West Side Tavern.
And it became like, I think the last thing, it was like a gun shop or something.
Yep.
You know, and so I spent every summer there from the time I was probably 8 or 9 until I was 14 or 15. You know, stayed with my grandmother just so I could play baseball here. Atlanta didn't have anything like that.
Right.
I'll tell you what, that was a long time ago.
I'm very happy to be here, man.
Well, I mean, being a long time ago, and you recollect those memories, and you know, it's something that's going to stick with you forever.
Well, I've written a lot of it. I've written it over the years, and it's in my memory. And you know, when you play games, and I remember some of the good stuff, but I remember a lot of the bad stuff too. I played baseball at Illinois Wesleyan, and I still remember a bases loaded pop-up. I'm the second baseman, going down the right field line, and the sun is in my eyes, and the ball is way high, and I'm thinking, I can't see it. Where is it? And right now, man, right there is where it hit on my glove. Boom. I dropped it. 3 runs scored.
No.
I remember that vividly.
Everybody's running.
You know, you can erase that one, but
we've all had it happen.
Graduated from Atlanta, went to Illinois Wesleyan, and had a scholarship in broadcasting.
No.
Journalism?
Broadcasting is beyond my capability.
Journalism.
No,
Journalism.
I was the Daily Pantograph had a scholarship program at the time, and I won it or was given it, and so I worked at the Pantograph the 4 years I was at Wesleyan, and then 2 years after, and then left and went east, or south, Louisville, Kentucky, then Washington Post, and then Atlanta, Georgia, and finally got back to the real Atlanta.
The real Atlanta.
And, so let's get where you started. You said you were down in Louisville, and that's when you started interviewing Muhammad Ali, Howard Cosell. Tell us all that.
Well, the first big time person that I met was Adolph Rupp, was the basketball coach in 1966. he retired in '72. I thought he was really ancient in 1966, and I was among the people calling for him to resign. I was a columnist by that time. I thought he ought to resign and move on, and of course at that time he was 10 years younger than I am right now, and so I need to revise my call for Adolph to retire. But he was the first guy that I met, and he was fabulous character, and was a great recruiter, had great teams. The first really great player he had while I was there was Dan Issel from Batavia, Illinois. And we had that in common, so I knew Issel well. And basketball was all that mattered in Kentucky. Well. So I did basketball from every level. I went to a grade school that played a Catholic grade school. This gym was in a tornado cellar under the ground. You couldn't shoot anything that went more than like 8 feet high because you hit the roof. But I saw basketball at every level and loved it and wrote about it for the whole 10 years that I was there. So it was always a great experience. And Louisville became very good. University of Louisville became very good at that time. And while I was trying to get rid of Adolph Rupp, I was trying to recruit Denny Crum because he was at UCLA at the time, and I knew that they were chasing him. So it kind of balanced out there.
For sure.
Well, I was going to say, Kentucky, they like their basketball. That's for
well, that's all that mattered then. And still, it's 25,000 people in the building there, Rupp Arena. So you couldn't write enough basketball. Every year I would just get in the car and drive from one end of the state to the other and just stop wherever I saw a hoop on a side of a barn and write a column about it. So I did a little bit of did it all there, and it was great training, and it was fun, and the people in Kentucky loved the game. They understood the game and had great tradition, great players. One of my all-time favorite players was Ralph Beard, who was caught in a fix in the late 40s, a poor kid taking $20 handshakes from people after games, got caught up in a fix with 3-4 other players from Kentucky. And he lived with that every minute of his life. And he was a great guy. It was a total shame. Today, of course, you get an NIL deal, and they'll give you millions, and it's okay.
Yeah,
but Ralph Beard's life was ruined for $20.
Yeah, the game has changed, and back then, obviously we've come a long way from back in the 70s and even 80s and 90s, where when you're writing these columns, you're on a deadline where you've got to get these over and published for the paper. Now you just pull up your phone and it's right there.
Well, it's still hard on me to like, I have a deadline right now. I'm trying to write a book about the St. Louis Cardinals of 1946. So if none of you were around in 1946. I was 5 years old. And I have a deadline on that, but the deadline is not like the next hour. It's in July of next year.
Okay.
So deadlines have been part of my life forever, and that was part of the challenge of the job. I loved it. I loved the idea that you had to be done, that Muhammad Ali is going to knock somebody out in the next 5 seconds, and you've got to write a story in the next hour about what happened. The whole idea of seeing something and reporting on it immediately, it's an adrenaline rush, and it sustained me for 50 years. I don't need my heart to go real fast right now, but back then it was important. Back then it was important to me to get it done.
Well, let's talk about the book you're writing now, 1946 Cardinals. That probably involves a lot of research, obviously, that some of it might be kind of hard to obtain.
Well, it's, I've dug around in libraries and archives, my whole life. So it's routine, but that's a long time ago. What is that? That's 76 years ago. So that's almost prehistoric. It's still in my mind, but I'm not sure that anybody wants to read about something that happened 76 years ago.
Well, you'd be surprised.
So I'm trying to make it come alive, and the longer that I've worked on it, the more complicated the book becomes. I started out I was just going to do the 1946 season. Stan Musial coming back. He was in the Navy. World War II ends in 45. America's happy. Baseball is back. Baseball in 1946 had doubled its attendance everywhere in the country. And the more that I read about that, pretty soon I find myself reading 7 books on Dwight Eisenhower, because I discovered that Dwight Eisenhower had been a baseball player as a kid and may have been a professional baseball player as a kid. I'm talking about 1909, 1910, when he was still in Abilene, Kansas, being paid $5 a game to play in the Central Kansas State League. He then later, in 1946, the war is over. 45, the war is over. He tells Mel Ott of the New York Giants that he had played professional baseball in Kansas. Well, he shouldn't have said that, because at West Point, you can't be, when he went to the military academy, you can't be a professional athlete and do anything and he was a football player too, and do anything at Army. Beyond that, as he also lied about it, because you had to sign a voucher that you'd never been a professional athlete. So he had to lie about it. He was breaking the honor code at the time. But he kept it a secret. And I'm going to write about that. I'm going to write about his career as a baseball player. And so the book becomes bigger than just the 1946 season. I'm getting into World War II, and my dad arrived at Normandy, D-Day plus 13. It was still, people think D-Day and it's like over. Well, D-Day was the first day of like 3 months of the United States going through France. So they were under fire all the time. So it becomes kind of war and baseball and my dad and all that. So I'm
just all kind of
it's more complicated than I wanted it to be, but it'll be good complicated, I think.
Was that Emil Verbin in those years?
Emil Verbin was played with the Cardinals in the early 40s. He was not with that 46 team. By then, he may have been with the Cubs by then. But he was an all-star.
Sure, yeah.
And Emil Verbin, actually, I met him here when I played on the Legion team. I played on the Lincoln American Legion team, and Verbin would come to our practices once in a while. And I still remember that also, where he one day said to me, "You've got good hands, kid." Well, okay.
Start typing.
Yeah, that's what they were best for.
Well, let's take a quick commercial break. We come back, we'll have more here with Dave Kindred on WLCN 96.3.
This is Corporal Brian Clemens with the Lincoln Police Department. This week, Lincoln Logan County Crime Stoppers is seeking information in reference to copper gutters that have been stolen off churches in the last couple of weeks. On December 6th at 1:54 p.m., 2 subjects stole a copper downspout off the Zion Lutheran Church at 205 Pulaski Street. They were both on bicycles, and one was wearing a Chicago Bears jacket, the other was wearing a tan coat and blue jeans. If you have any information on this crime, please contact Lincoln Logan County Crime Stoppers anonymously at 217-732-3000 or the Lincoln Police Department at 217-732-2151. Tips leading to an arrest could receive a cash reward up to $1,000. Crime Stoppers only wants your information, not your name.
The Lincoln Logan County Crime Stoppers Crime of the Week is brought to you by Me Realty, supporting a thriving community safe for families through support of the Crime Stoppers program. Me Realty, 602 Keokuk Street in Lincoln, and online at merealty.com. Full Gospel Evangelistic Center makes an impact locally and beyond through a wide range of events, ministries, and outreaches. Pastors Steve and Debbie Owens invite you to worship Sunday mornings at 10:30 and attend Wednesday night Bible studies at 6:30. Connect with FGEC online, follow them on Facebook, download their app, and visit their new website at myfgec.org with live YouTube video streams as well as recordings of services and special events. Full Gospel Evangelistic Center, 304 North McLean Street in Lincoln.
Are you sick and tired of the telephone calls, text messages, and ads in the mail for Medicare open enrollment? Medicare open enrollment begins October 15th and ends December 7th. Changes made during this time will go into effect January 1, 2025. Feel free to call me, local Medicare agent Dara Entwistle, and set an appointment to go over 2025 changes and plans. My office is in downtown Lincoln, or I can meet with you at your home if you like. Again, call me, Dara Entwistle, your local Medicare agent and your friend in health insurance, 217-651-8046.
Culver's is a family restaurant. To me, that means being the place that puts a smile on everyone's face. We're famous for our cooked-to-order butter burgers and frozen custard made daily inside our restaurants. But we've always believed more menu options mean more ways to brighten your day. We source the finest chicken to bring you our tenders and chicken sandwiches. And our cheese curds. They're a Wisconsin tradition we're proud to share with you. So take the next meal shift off and let us take care of you. Welcome to Delicious.
Culver's, home of the Butterburger, 2530 Woodlawn Road in Lincoln. Whether you're buying or selling your home, the brokers of Me Realty will work with you to get the deal done. As one of Central Illinois' top producing offices for decades, Me Realty has the experience to guide you through the process. You want results? Call the brokers of Me Realty at 217-735-5424, stop by the office at 602 Keokuk Street in Lincoln, or check out local listings online at merealty.com.
This is Dan Duff, former Lincoln High School basketball player, and you're listening to Cheap Seats with Joe, Jake, Jim, Lloyd, and Stabadoo on 96.3 FM WLCN.
3FM broadcasting live from Copper and Oak, and we've got Mr. Dave Kindred in with this morning. Dave, thanks for making the trip over here.
My pleasure. My pleasure. I'm very happy.
A little bit of a drive for you, and we do appreciate it.
I come to Lincoln every chance I get.
Yeah.
It's like my second hometown. I spent more time here than any place other than Atlanta.
Well, we're honored to have you back, and we can make about 4 shows out of this, just with all the, your past, your illustrious career that you held. But I know Joe's kind of chomping at the bit here. Your time down in Louisville, you had the opportunity to kind of rub elbows with Mr. Muhammad Ali and Howard Cosell, and just tell us a little about how that was all brought on.
Well, I went to Louisville in 1966. Muhammad Ali was the heavyweight champion then for 2 years. He won it in '64, beating Sonny Liston. And so I went to Louisville to be a writer, but they didn't have a writer's job, so I was a copy editor. I was just on the desk one day. And one day the sports editor comes in and says, Ali is in town, go find him. So, okay. So his father ran a paint shop, not selling paint, but he thought of himself as an artist. So Cassius Clay Sr. had a paint store like 2 blocks away. I went there and asked him where Muhammad is, and he said he's in the West End there somewhere. So I had my son with me, who then was like 4 years old, and because I took him to work every day with me. I was a babysitter, my wife was a nurse, and so I was like Mr. Dad, taking the 4-year-old. I'd set him at a typewriter, just do something. I'm going to make some phone calls, try to find a story. So I took him in the car and drove into the West End of Louisville and said, anybody seen Muhammad? Everybody had seen Muhammad because he was like world famous even then. So I found him, and he got in the car with me, and we just drove around for like an hour or 2 hours. He was in town for some charity thing. So we stopped. The one stop I remember, he said, wait a minute, stop. I said, why? He said, well, that telephone pole is where I stood one day, and I put my name on that telephone pole. And we went up there, and he carved his name in his telephone pole. And then that was 1966. I wrote about him for the next 50 years. I went to 17 of his fights. I didn't go to the one in Manila. That's the great hole in my career with him. I didn't see that fight, but I went to the other two, both in New York. The first Ali-Frazier fight in 1971, 15 rounds that he lost. I was a kid columnist. I was 31 or 32, but I didn't know what to write. Luckily, I was writing for the afternoon paper, so I had all night to try to figure out what happened.
Did he break his jaw on that one?
Yes. That was part of the problem that he didn't appear at a press conference afterwards, because he went straight from the Madison Square Garden to a hospital. But Frazier was just as bad. Frazier was beaten badly. It's one of the great sports events ever.
Oh, absolutely.
That fight. And it was, by the end, the third fight really ended both their careers as great fighters. Both of them were near death in the third fight, the Manila fight. Mm-hmm. But Ali was always just the greatest character. He was the greatest athlete that I ever saw. He was at his best, 6'3", 210, fast, big, strong, brave. There was nobody could do what Ali did.
We were talking off the air. I was saying how I met him in St. Louis one time and shook his hand, and I was shocked at how big his hands are and how big his head was. He's a big dude.
Well, the story that I tell all the time is that I was in bed with Ali one time.
Yeah, it's a family show.
Well, we'll keep. I'll try to leave out those parts. But it was in Las Vegas before some fight, and his suite is always full of everybody. So there's a room over here and a room over here. He's in a room over here in bed. The center hall is just full of people screaming and hollering, and he's in bed, and he sees me. He doesn't know my name. I don't think he ever knew my name, but he called me Louisville, and he saw me. Louisville, come here. So I go in there, and I'm standing over his bed, and I can't hear him. He can't hear me. So he raises up the sheet and says, "Get in." Well, I don't know what you do if the heavyweight champion of the world orders you to get in bed with him, but I did. And one of us had on clothes. So I had a little notebook. All I wanted to do was just a column to get through the day. Tell me about your training. How's it going? So I'm making notes. We pull the sheets up over our head to hide from all the people, like a couple little kids hiding from their parents. And I'm taking notes and talk for 10 minutes or something. And so I leave, I get out of bed and I leave, but then I forgot that I've got my notebook. I said, Muhammad, give me my notebook. So he gives me my notebook and I go and write a column. And that's just another day in the life of Muhammad Ali. Things are always happening with Ali. If they weren't happening, he made things happen. He loved people. I think one of you mentioned security a minute ago. He never had any security. He walked everywhere he wanted to walk. He loved, if he was in this room and walked into that parking lot, I'm talking now 50 years ago, there'd be 500 people there in 15 minutes because they would know Muhammad, and he wanted people there all the time. Just the most fabulous character that you could imagine. And still the greatest thing that I've ever been a part of. I was lucky to know him, and then through him really met Cosell. And now we're really talking about ancient history, because I doubt if anybody listening to this radio show has any idea who Howard Cosell is, because
loved Howard.
Well, you got to have a white beard. Like
I color mine.
Yeah. Oh, it's not naturally white.
I color it.
Yeah, I think so. Probably your hair too.
It's all color.
Both hairs. Yeah. So I met Cosell because, well, for football, first of all, I was at the Washington Post at the time, and ABC, Monday Night Football, what is a big thing, and so I met Cosell through that. And then because I was one of the few, I had no personal animus about Cosell. A lot of people hated him just on sight. Hated the voice, hated the arrogance, all of that stuff. I loved it because to me it was such a great character to write about, and you knew that he understood that too. He played Howard Cosell as much as he was Howard Cosell. It was an act. Been off television now. I think the last time he was on television, in fact, may have been in Washington, where he made the mistake of calling one of the Washington wide receivers that little monkey. And that was 1983, I think. So he was off television shortly after that. So that's been 40 years since he was on television.
May have been Art Monk. He said that.
No, it was Howard. It was, last name was Garrett, who's like a 5'8" running back.
I remember that, though. That was the end of it.
That was the last time he did Monday Night Football.
Joe, let's hear your Howard Cosell. You got a good old Howard?
Oh, I can't do Howard Cosell. No. I can do a lot of them, Rich Little stuff, but
Well, let's go to we got a phone caller who wants to call in and talk to us. Good morning.
Hello.
Yeah. Who are we talking to?
I know Mr. Kindred had written a couple columns on the Lady Railers basketball team last year, and I'm just wondering his reflections on the season last year and the championship, and what he thought how Lincoln did. I'll listen off air. Thanks again.
Yep. Thanks for the call.
Well, I saw Chloe Froby as a freshman. Lincoln played in the Morton Thanksgiving tournament. I saw her as a freshman, knew she was good. And her last 2 years, that was a fabulous team. I came anytime, as I said off the air here a minute ago, I've been to more Morton High School games than the coach has been to in the last 15 years. So I've seen every Morton game. But in the 2 years that Lincoln went 75-1 with Chloe Froby, that group of people who had been playing together since the 4th grade. Every time Morton wasn't playing, I came, wherever Lincoln was playing, I went and watched them. So I got to know Chloe and Carrie, the mother, the father. I even went to, I guess it was in Peoria, to watch Cruz.
Yeah.
To watch him win the state championship, 7th grade, I think it was.
Yeah.
So I loved it. I loved Chloe was such a great girl. The family was beautiful. So I loved watching them play. I got to know Taylor Rohr, the coach, because she married, I think, the brother of a woman that my wife was best friends with in Lincoln High School a long time ago. So it was interesting, and I wrote about them a couple times too in the state tournament. It was a fabulous team.
Yeah,
great team. I wrote about them in volleyball. Didn't they weren't they second in the state in volleyball?
Second state, yeah.
So I became like a second. They became my second team for 2 years.
Well, they should be getting you some Railer gear.
Well, it was fun the whole time, and Carrie Froby, the mother, was always so good to me, and I loved being around them.
Yeah, I mean, the season they had, that's one that you're not going to forget. Go undefeated, last year and win a state title.
Well, the year before they weren't too bad either.
Yeah,
37.
Yeah, still pretty good. But yeah, able to get it done last year. So yeah, that's just a historical 2 years at Lincoln High School, and that's going to be hard to match.
Well, they were a great team. They're just a great team.
Obviously you had Chloe, but you had 4 or 5 other girls out there, and they played as a team. It wasn't, it was any given night, any girl could go out there and have a great game.
Well, and I think, Chloe's personality made that happen, too. I mean, there was no big star about her.
Unselfish play.
Yeah, she was going to score her 30, 35 points a game, but everybody knew that. Everybody accepted that because she was the kind of person that you wanted her to succeed.
Sure.
And you knew, and of course, if she succeeds, we will succeed. But it was more than that. I think she just endeared herself to her team. I mean, they'd been girls growing up together, from the time they were 12 years old or something. So it was a beautiful thing to watch.
Absolutely. We'll find that every day.
No, sir.
Gee.
So back on track here. Did you have a question?
Nope.
No. Well, we were talking about Hire Cosell. We were talking about Muhammad Ali. You got a book you're working on right now. I know when you first started back when you were 15, it was, we talked about Stan Musial. Obviously you're a Cardinal fan.
I grew up a Cardinal fan, listening to Harry Carey every night.
Yeah.
I still remember that. And I've said before that, that was when Harry Carey was a real baseball announcer. Before he became a Cub.
Easy.
Well, I know this is trouble, but he became a cartoon with the Cubs. He was a caricature of a real baseball announcer. In addition to my animus about the Cubs, in fact, one of my very vivid memories, very hard, painful memory, was a year that I played American Legion baseball in Lincoln, and we wore Chicago Cubs uniforms. Somehow that had happened, that these uniforms had been passed down from 20 teams for 20 years or something, and suddenly I had to wear that ugly
blue
thing.
Pinstripes.
Probably had the season of your career.
Yeah. So I forgot what I was talking about there. But
we do it quite often on this show.
Yeah, we just flip-flop back and forth. It doesn't matter.
We cyber jump a lot
We
here.
change topics all the time. But so I mean, as far as obviously you've been doing this for years. Some of your highlights in your career, Muhammad Ali. And Howard Cosell. Any other things that over the years that really stood out, and
well, the great thing is I've done everything I ever wanted to do. almost literally everything I've ever wanted to do. Been to 7 or 8 Olympics.
Yeah, say you covered the Olympics, the Munich Games.
I was at Munich in '72.
It's incredible.
Again, didn't know quite what to do there, but I did it. I've written 5,000 columns probably. You know, I've been blessed. You know, and now this, what I'm doing now, 15 years of writing about girls' high school basketball. You know, who does that?
You do.
You.
Who does that? Why does somebody do that? You know, I do it. I mean, I don't want to get too dramatic here, but you know, my wife had a stroke in the middle of that, and really going to the girls' games, just being around young people all the time, having something to do, sustained me. If I wasn't at the nursing home, I was at a girls' basketball game. You know, it was a whole panoply of life there, and it's been a beautiful thing for me.
Keeps you busy.
And I do it as professionally as I ever wrote anything ever. I don't make fun of it. I don't say how bad they are. I say it to the person sitting next to me sometime when you see a girls JV game and nobody can dribble 3 times, you know, then okay, it's not exactly, you know, it's not exactly the Golden State Warriors or anything, but I write about it professionally, and I've loved doing it, and I will keep doing it until I can't do it.
Well, I tell you, you've been doing it a long time. You're very good at it, and you know, it's a tough thing to do, you know, especially, you know, trying to find a positive out of the game to be positive in your articles. Well, sometimes that's difficult.
That's part of it too. You know, I've never been critical of the way they play. I've never been cynical about it. I've never second-guessed the coach. You know, I'll write one sentence sometimes that he will recognize that I'm being critical, but nobody else will. You know, and that's fine with me. I don't. I try to be positive about it. You know, I try to remember that they're 15-year-old girls. You know, this is not Steph Curry playing basketball.
Right.
These are girls, and that's another part of the whole 15 years is Title IX was passed in 1972. I never wrote anything about women's athletics for 40 years, except occasionally I would do tennis, I'd do Wimbledon, you know, I would do, I wrote about Janet Guthrie as a race car driver at Indianapolis. I would do women, but I never did a team kind of thing. I never accepted women as competitive athletes. I knew it and believed it in my heart, but where I was working, that was never part of what they expected me to do. They expected me to do, you know, big time stuff, Adolph Rupp, World Series, World Cup, all of that stuff. So that was my life. But now it's almost like this 15 years, I'm kind of paying back what I should have been doing through the 70s and the 80s, because women were denied the opportunity. My wife would have been a good basketball player, but there was no basketball for her. You know, and so it's almost like I'm paying back things that I missed that I should have been doing at the time. And I think it's important. I really think it's important. I think it's, you know, young women need that outlet.
Yeah.
Need to know that if you're ambitious and you're athletic and you're strong and you're competitive, there's a place for you. And I love to see it.
Well, I tell you, the Morton Potters should be honored, you know, to have you doing that for them, because I mean it's a great thing.
I've never once thought about that. I've never once thought about that at all. You know, I mean, they accept me. The girls understand that I'm there. You know, at some point, I suppose I have to admit that I'm old enough to be their great-grandfather.
Well, that's one way of looking at it.
And it might be time then to say, why am I doing this? But so far, if I ask them a decent basketball question, they give me great answers. You know, and that's what I like. That's what I like about it. I try to write it professionally. Try to write it. I try to write it in a positive way and have fun doing it.
And yeah, that's what we try to do. We try to keep it positive here, have fun doing it. May not always be good. But today was good. I tell you, yeah.
We're only about our guest.
Yeah, you're only as good as your guest, and today we were phenomenal. Well, Dave, we once again like to thank you for coming in. You know, it is an honor, a pleasure. I mean, we could talk to you all day with there's stuff that we didn't even, we
didn't even talk about baseball.
No,
yeah.
We've only got an hour, and Jim, he's given us.
We can do it again sometime.
Yeah, we'd love to have you back on at a later date, and maybe when it warms up a little bit, we'll talk some baseball.
Good. Thank you, man.
Yeah,
appreciate it.
All right, that's going to do it for us today here on the Cheap Seats. I'd like to thank Coach Neil Alexander coming in today, and then also as well as Dave Kindred coming in and talking to us.
Stories with us.
Yep. Well, that's going to do it for us, and we.
Live video streaming of this event is made possible in part by WLCN's live stream technology sponsor, Me Realty, located at 602 Keokuk Street in Lincoln, and online at merealty.com. The preceding program is a presentation of WLCN 96.3 FM and WLCNonline.com.